How long is this going to take? And how painful is it? You're not being dramatic. You are just being practical. Because when a parent dies, life does not pause. Bills still hit, work still demands, kids still need rides. And the family home can feel like a weight sitting on your chest every single day. So let's say the quiet part out loud. You are trying to gauge the size of the storm. You want to know how long probate takes in California in real life, what the court requires from you, what delays the case, when money can be paid out, how soon the house can sell. And under all of it, there is one more question. Can my life move forward this year, or is this a multi year mess? We're going to answer that. We're also going to keep it simple, clear steps, no legal fog. And one quick note before we start, we are not your lawyer. We are not giving legal advice. Probate is a legal process, so you will want a good probate attorney on your side for filings, notices, and court rules. What we can do is help you understand the process, avoid costly mistakes, and make the property side of probate far less stressful. Security, clean out, repairs, prep, and a smart sale plan is the right move. Now, here's the truth most families need to hear early. In California, a normal formal probate often takes about 9 to 18 months, sometimes longer. That range is not there to scare you. It's there because probate has built-in steps that take time, even when everyone agrees. And one of those steps is a waiting period for creditors. So if you're hoping probate will be done in 6 weeks, we want to gently reset that expectation right now. But if you're worried it will take 5 years, we want to calm that fear too. Most cases are not multi-year disaster unless something specific is pulling it that way. Like a fight, a missing will, a house with title issues, a hard tax problem, or a court backlog. So let's break this down like a road trip. We're going to walk through 3 phases. First, open the case. Get your authority. Second, do the work. Gather, value, protect, pay. Third, close the case. Final report, final checks, distribution. And along the way, we'll talk about the house because the house is usually the biggest stress point. Ready? Let's open the map. Now let's walk through what the court actually requires step by step. First, file to open probate. Probate usually starts when someone files a petition for probate with the court. This is the court's way of saying, show us who died, what they owned, and who is in charge, and who should receive what. If there is a will, the will is submitted. If there is no will, the court still opens the case, but the rules on who inherits are set by state law. Next, wait for the hearing date. After the petition is filed, the court sets a hearing date. How fast that happens depends on the county. Some courts move quicker. Some are backed up. This is one of the first places delay can happen. And it has nothing to do with you being slow. It's the calendar. Then get appointed and receive letters. At the hearing, the judge appoints the person who will act for the state. In California, that person is often called the personal representative. Many people also use the word executor, especially when there is a will. Once appointed, the court issues letters, often letters of testamentary or letters of administration. These letters are your legal proof that you can act for the state. Banks want them, escrow wants them, the IRS may want them. Buyers want to know you have them. Without letters, You can do some urgent things, but you are limited. With letters, you can finally move. Then, notice, notice, notice. Probate is not private, it is a court process. So the law requires notice to people who may be affected. That usually means notice to heirs and beneficiaries, and notice in a legal newspaper. This step matters because, done wrong, it can cause delay later. After that, take control of assets. Now we are in the do the work phase. This is where many adult children feel like they got a second unpaid job. You must locate state assets. That means bank accounts, retirement accounts that are payable to the state, refunds, personal items, and the home. If there is a house, this is where smart moves matter because the house can get hit with break-ins, squatters, leaks, mold, yard code issues, insurance gaps, family members removing items, neighbor complaints. We've seen it all, so this is the point where we step in with inherited property support, home security steps, vendor coordination, clean out planning, exterior upkeep, and a calm plan to prevent the property from sliding downhill while the court does its thing. Next, inventory and appraisal. The court needs a list of what the person owned and what it was worth. In California probate, assets are commonly appraised through a probate process, often involving a probate referee for certain assets. This step takes time. It can be fast if you have clean records, organized accounts, and quick access to the property. It can drag if statements are missing, mail is going to the wrong place, or family members are scattered and not sharing info. So if you want speed, think like this. Probate loves paper, probate hates mystery. Get the paper. Next, manage cash, bills, and taxes. The state still has to pay valid bills. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, property taxes, repairs, legal fees. Also, there can be income tax filings. Sometimes there is a final tax return for your parents. Sometimes there is an estate tax issue, but this is less common for most families. Either way, this is the phase where you want support because mistakes here create delays later. After that, pay creditors, then distribute. Here is the big timing rule that surprises most families. California gives creditors a window of time to file complaints, to file claims. Under probate, many creditor claims must be filed within 4 months after letters are first issued, with some timing delays tied to notice. That creditor window is one reason probate has a built-in wait, and it's also why we can't just distribute the money right away. There are times when partial distribution can happen, but it depends on the facts, the attorney's guidance, and the court. Finally, paperwork and closing the estate. To close probate, the personal representative files a final petition and an accounting asks for approval, and then distributes what is left. Then the court closes the case. That is the basic flow. Now let's talk about what makes it painful and how to reduce that pain. Next, let's talk about what slows probate down and how to avoid the delays that make this drag on. Delays usually fall into 5 buckets. First, court calendar and court backlog. You cannot control how busy the court is, but you can control whether your filing gets rejected or errors. Which brings us to the next bucket. Paperwork errors. Missing signatures, wrong forms, wrong notice, wrong dates. One mistake can push a hearing out weeks or months. So when we say work with a strong probate attorney, this is why. It's not about fancy language, it's about clean filing. Then, family conflict. This is the one nobody wants to talk about on day one. But it matters if siblings do not agree on who should be in charge, whether to sell or keep the house, what the house is worth, who gets what personal items, whether someone was promised something. The probate slows down. Sometimes it slows down a little. Sometimes it turns into a fight that lasts years. If there is conflict, clarity and structure becomes your best friend. Clear timelines, clear inventory, clear plan, written updates when families feel left in the dark. They assume the worst. So we encourage one simple habit. Send a short update every week or two, even if nothing big has changed. It reduces panic. After that, the house is a mess. Here's the hard truth. Probate does not stop a house from aging. A vacant home decays faster than a lived-in home. If a property sits for 9 to 18 months with no plan, the state often loses money. Not just from mortgage and taxes, from damage, vandal risk, deferred care, and buyer skepticism. This is where inherited property services matter. We help you keep the home stable while the court process runs. That means secure it, insure it correctly, maintain the yard, handle clean out in a smart order, prep the home for sale at the right time, coordinated repairs only when they pay off. And we do it with a calm pace because grief is real. Finally, title problems. If title is messy, everything slows down. Common examples: old liens, unreleased deeds of trust, a missing legal description, unrecorded transfers, co owners, a home in a trust with poor funding, a parent who added a child to the title years ago just for convenience. Title issues can also block a sale. So, if you want speed, check title early. Now, before we move on, we want to tell you something that changes the emotional temperature. Because you may be thinking, okay, so it's 9 to 18 months, that's the storm. But there is a second question. How painful will those months be? The pain usually comes from uncertainty. Not knowing what comes next, not knowing when money can move, not knowing what you are allowed to do, not knowing if you are doing it right. So our goal in this video is certainty. Now let's answer the money question. Well, let's get into the money, when it can be paid out, and why it usually can't happen right away. When can heirs get money? In most formal probates, full distribution happens near the end. After assets are gathered, values are confirmed, bills are paid, creditors' time run out, final paperwork is approved. And again, creditors often have up to 4 months after letters are issued to file claims, with timing rules tied to notice. That means the state often needs to keep enough cash on hand to cover known and possible claims. People are stressed, but distributing too soon can create a new problem. If a valid bill arrives later, the state may have to chase heirs for money. That is a nightmare. Now, is it ever possible to distribute some money earlier? Sometimes. For example, if there is plenty of cash and the attorney believes a partial distribution is safe, there may be a path. But this is where you do not guess. You coordinate with the attorney because the personal representative has legal duties. And if you are the adult child doing this, we know you are not trying to become a legal expert. You are trying to do right by your parents. So here is the clean way to think about money timing. Probate is designed to protect the estate first, then pay heirs. That is why it can feel slow. Now, we also want to add something many families miss. Not all assets wait for probate. Some assets pass outside probate by beneficiary form. Life insurance can do that. Retirement accounts can do that. Some bank accounts can do that if they had named pay on death terms. So you may see some funds move faster than the probate case. That is normal. Now let's talk about the house, because that is usually the biggest question. How long until the house can sell? Now let's talk about the house when it can sell in probate and what can slow a sale down. Yes, a house can often be sold during probate, but the exact path depends on the authority the court grants. In California, there is a law called the Independent Administration of Estates Act. Under IAEA, the personal representative may have full authority or limited authority. That detail matters because it changes the sale process. If the sale needs court confirmation, in some cases, the sale must be confirmed by the court. That means you accept an offer, then you go to court, then overbids can happen in court, then the judge confirms the sale. This route can add time and stress. It can still work, it can still be the right path in some cases, but is not as smooth as a normal sale. If the sale can close without court confirmation, in many probate cases with full authority, the personal representative can sell without a court confirmation hearing. But there is still an important notice. A common retirement requirement is sending a notice of proposed action and giving interested parties time to object. Many sources describe that notice being served at least 15 days before the action. And the idea is, if no objection comes in the sale, can move forward. So even in faster probate sale, there are built-in notice windows. What does that mean for your timeline? If probate is already open and letters are issued and you have the authority to sell, a sale timeline can look like this. Prep the house, list the house, accept an offer, send required notices, wait for the notice period, close escrow. So the sale itself can move in a fairly normal real estate time frame as long as the probate steps are handled correctly. But if probate is not open yet, you may be waiting on the court hearing date, the issuance of letters, the authority language in the court order. So the home sale timing depends on where you are in the case. Now we want to make this very practical. If you are an adult, child, personal representative, you are often balancing two forces. The house costs money every month and probate moves on court time. So we build a plan that uses the court time wisely. We do not wait until the last minute to start preparing the property. We secure it. We sort personal items in a respectful order. We coordinate vendors. We prevent the home from becoming a liability. That way, when the green light arrives, you're not starting from zero. Now, this is the point where we promise one story. Here it is. Let me share this story with you. A daughter in California became the personal representative after her mom died. She lived out of state, but she flew in for the first week because she thought she could handle everything. She walked into the home and felt the air change. The house smelled like old paper and warm dust. A faint, sweet scent still hung in the hallway. like perfume that had been used for decades and soaked into the walls. The living room looked normal at first glance, but when she opened a closet, the door barely moved. It hit boxes stacked all the way to the top. In the kitchen, she found three calendars, one on the wall, one on the fridge, and one on the counter. All three stopped on the month her mom went into the hospital. It was like time froze in that house, even though life outside was racing. Her brother wanted the house sold fast. He kept texting things like, list it now, the market is hot. He also kept asking for money because he had expenses. The daughter was trying to be strong. She was making calls in the driveway because it felt wrong to cry inside the house. She was also trying to be fair, which is what personal representatives do. But every fair choice seemed to upset someone. On day 3, a neighbor walked over, nice at first. Then the neighbor lowered his voice and said, "We saw someone hopping the side gate last night. Might be kids, might not." That was the moment she realized something. Grief was not the only issue. The home itself was now exposed. So she did what most personal representatives end up doing. She started playing defense. She called the insurance company and learned the policy had limits on vacancy. She called a locksmith. She called a yard guy. She called an attorney. She called family members to schedule a day to take what they wanted. And it turned into arguments over items that were not worth $50. And the biggest stress was this: she did not know how long probate would take. So every choice felt like a gamble. Once she understood the timeline, everything changed because now she could plan. She stopped trying to finish everything in one trip. She created a simple list: secure the home, gather key papers, start probate, stabilize the property, and then decide on repairs once she had authority and a clear sale plan. In the end, the probate timeline was not what broke her. The uncertainty was. That is why we teach this process in plain English, not to overwhelm you, to give your footing back. Let's talk about how to make this less painful, what to do, what to ignore, and how to move forward without getting crushed by it. So now you know the process, but you may still be thinking, okay, how does this make this less painful? Here are the moves that reduce pain and reduce delays. First, decide if probate truly is required. Not every estate needs formal probate. California has simplified transfer options for some estates, and the limits can change based on date of death and asset type. There were also important changes starting in 2025 that raised certain limits for primary residence in specific situations. We are not saying you will qualify. We are saying do not assume. A good probate attorney can tell you quickly if you have options. Second, get letters, then move with purpose until letters are issued. You can feel stuck. Once you have letters, you can do real work. So the first goal is clean filing and clean notice so the court can grant authority without hiccups. Third, treat the house like a business asset. This is tough because it was also an emotional place. But probate requires business thinking. A vacant home needs a plan. Security, insurance, check. Yard care, utilities managed, then clean out in stages, not chaos. Then repairs only when they pay off. Then prep the sale based on your goals. And if heirs cannot agree, we help you structure the discussion around facts. Cost per month, to hold condition risks, likely sale value as is versus repaired, timeline impact of each choice, facts, cool emotions. Fourth, know the three big money gates. If you want to answer family questions with confidence, remember these gates. 1. Letters issued. 2. Inventory and appraisal progress. 3. Creditor window and bill payment plan. These gates explain why money does not move instantly. And when you can explain that calmly, family pressure often drops. Communicate like a leader, not like a referee. You are not there to make everyone happy. You are there to do the job correctly. Short updates, clear next steps, no side deals. If someone is upset, that does not mean you are doing it wrong. It often means grief is looking for a target. 6. Use a coordinated team. Probate, trust, and estate work is not one skill. It is a team sport. Attorneys for legal steps, tax pros for tax steps, real estate and property team for the house. This is the model we use because it protects you. It keeps the property stable. It keeps the timeline clean. It helps heirs feel informed. Let me answer the questions you came here with. So, how long is this going to take? In many California formal probate cases, think 9 to 18 months, sometimes longer. But how painful is it? It depends on whether you have a clear plan, clean paperwork, a stable home, a calm communication rhythm, the right support team. When those pieces are in place, probate becomes a process you walk through, not a storm that drags you under. Now, if you want help with an inherited property site, security, clean out, vendor planning, prep, and a sales strategy fits probate rules. This is exactly what we do. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe because we keep everything plain, practical, and focused on protecting families from expensive mistakes. Before you go, drop a comment with one word that describes what feels hardest right now: time, money, siblings, paperwork, or the house. We read them, and it helps us to make the next video you actually need.